What's up, my friends? Matt with BAAM Ranch. So I wanted to address some hurricane stuff. There's a pretty good hurricane that's hitting the Texas coast right now, and from what I understand, there's close to 2 million people without power. So I just wanted to kind of go over a couple quick things that might help somebody out somewhere about dealing with at least the aftermath of the hurricane. At this point right now, it's probably a little too late to prepare for it since it's already there. But like I said, from what I understand, there's around 2 million people, or close to 2 million people without power, along with all of the other stuff that hurricanes do whenever they go do hurricane things. And being without power, and not just the power outage, but any type of natural disaster, you usually within 6 hours or so after the worst part of the event is over, you see a really heavy presence of first responders, and they absolutely work their butts off, and thank God that they do, because they really do save a lot of lives, and they really do keep things under control. But by the time that 36-hour mark comes around, everybody's just flat smoked. They've all worked a 3-day 36-hour shift, and they just can't continue on any longer. They got to start sending some people home, because they're going to start having health issues if they don't. And that just so happens to kind of coincide with the time that the bad actors of the world that exist in every one of these type of situations start getting out and making their rounds, exacerbated by the fact that the number of first responders has gone way down. So about that second day mark on into that third day mark, you really need to start being extra vigilant about safety and taking care of yourself, with the understanding that it's going to take longer than normal to get there. It's going to take longer for anybody to get there during any, even if it's, during the peak time, whenever all the first responders are out. Response time to all that stuff is going to be incredibly slow. And that goes with police and fire and everything else for that matter. It's, up around 100 degrees, and the humidity of the Houston area is absolutely unbearable. And that really does turn a power outage situation into a life-threatening situation for a lot of people. And when you get that many people without a power, that's pretty prevalent. Now, the first thing that starts to go, aside from, climate control, is the stuff that you have in your refrigerator. And the best thing you can do with that stuff is get it out and start cooking it, start eating it as soon as you can. I would rather prepare all the food that's going to spoil and give away what I can't eat to my neighbors and other people that may need it than have to throw all that stuff in the trash because it's spoiled. Your freeze stuff, in your freezers, as long as you keep that door closed, you can probably get a couple days out of it. If you have a deep freeze type thing, consider draping some blankets over it and keeping that thing as well insulated as possible. As long as the food that's inside still contains ice crystals, that food did not spoil. But that's one thing you're going to have to do. And I know during disasters, everybody says, we'll have all your canned goods and all of that stuff out. And yeah, that's important, but we want to remember we need to start consuming the food that's going to go bad first. And for some reason, a lot of people forget about that. It seems simple, but it happens more often than you would think. For those of people involved that did have generators, a lot of them are finding out right about now that a natural gas generator is useless when a tree falls and crushes 1 meter in the entire neighborhood, because they shut off the whole neighborhood. So it's a little too late for that now, but planning for in the future, I would absolutely have a dual fuel or a tri-fuel option, even if you have a natural gas generator. Even still, if you have one of those big whole house generators, it's not a bad idea to have a portable gasoline or dual fuel generator on top of that. Whether that be propane, gasoline, doesn't matter, as long as you have the alternative fuel source and you have the fuel setback for it. Prig, P-R-I-G, I'll post an affiliate link below. That is about the absolute best gasoline stabilizer that I have ever seen. It's the only stuff I've ever seen that actually works. And generators, man, they've got a hard life, you know. They tend to get forgotten. You know, the lawnmower gets started up every few weeks because we need it, you know, and same with all the other power equipment. But generators tend to just get forgotten. And it may be 2 years before somebody goes out and starts one up. So, you know, in the future, you know, keep that thing started once a week. Run it for 20, 30 minutes or so, you know. And adding that Prig fuel stabilizer to it will just do you mounds of favors. I've never had gas go bad with Prig in it. And I generally rotate my gas. I don't keep it around gasoline any longer than 2 years, and I've never had any problem with it up to that 2-year mark. Aside from that, even if you do have a natural gas generator and you do have power for it, there's been a bunch of stories in the past of people that had a generator running and they went to sleep. They woke up in the middle of the night because something just didn't seem right, and they noticed none of their stuff worked, but they could hear the generator going. And so they went outside to look and see what was going on, just to find out that somebody had taken a push lawnmower, started it up, pushed it over next to the generator, turned that person's generator off, left the mower going for the noise, and then stole the generator. And I don't necessarily think that that's the way it happens. I think most people just get it and run, knowing that you're in bed asleep and they'll be out of there before you have time to get out of bed. So make sure you've got a way to keep your generator secure if you're running one. Flooding is always an issue, at least in some parts, whenever we have stuff like this happen. And there comes a point in time where you're less worried about keeping the water out, and you start to become more worried about getting the water out. And you're just gonna have to make a judgment call on when that, you know, decision has to happen. If your house had standing water in it, as soon as possible, you need to take the bottom 12 inches of your sheetrock out to allow those walls to start drying out. Strip off that insulation at that layer 2, as far up as you can reach where you notice that insulation is wet. Obviously, carpets and stuff like that, you're not going to save that stuff, but you need to go into damage control on getting that dried out as soon as possible. Yeah, insurance is going to cover it, you know, hopefully. But even if insurance does cover it, you don't want to be sleeping and living in that musty mess, and you want to be back to your house as soon as possible. Even if insurance pays 100%, the less work you have to do yourself or hire somebody else to do, the better. So keep that in mind as far as the flooding goes. Check on your neighbors, check on the people that you know. Keep in mind that just because phone service is working now doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. And if you have phone, if your phone calls won't go through, if you'll send a text, a lot of times that text will go out and it'll stay in queue until it's able to go ahead and process it and send it through. So you normally have a lot easier time getting a text out. And social media, you know, Facebook and all that other stuff, Instagram, all of these messenger services, they really have, over the past several years, proven themselves to be valuable during any natural disaster. I had something else I was thinking about, but I guess that's what I get for not scripting this stuff. I just kind of tell it as I think about it. But if you did go through a hurricane, you know, I hope everything comes out good for you. I hope you didn't receive too much damage. And if you did, I hope the damage is something that you can take care of pretty quick. But that season's upon us, and it doesn't matter whether it's hurricanes or earthquakes or tornadoes or even, nuclear fallout. The things that we do to prepare for this stuff is really the same. Having food on the shelf, being able to cook that food off the grid, water, sanitation, having transportation, so if you get some warning, you can get out of there, having a place to go. All of those things, are basic preparedness stuff. Really, it's universal, and you don't have to just prepare for one event. General preparedness will cover you for almost any event. And like I said, hope everybody comes out all right with this, and hope nobody was, at least those that are watching this, got too much damage from it, and hope everybody came out of it safe, at least that viewed this. All right, well, until next time, guys, y'all be safe.